before I talk a little more about myself, I first want to ask today who you are. So I have up here, I'm going to start, I know, but I think AI is not going away anytime soon. And so it's really important that we kind of understand not just the technology, but even how we respond to that technology. What tendencies do I have that help me leverage the technology, that keep me safe? Or do I have some weaknesses that present risks to myself with how I use technology? So I have 3 buckets up there. You can see them on your handout. You can see them on the slide here. I did not come up with these categories. This was through the SANS Institute. They're a technological institute, education institute, and they've really found you can kind of fit people in. Most people lean towards one of these 3 buckets when we talk about AI, how we feel about AI, how we use AI. So first, I want you to ask yourself, while I'm talking here and describing these, which one you kind of lean towards, because that does affect how we understand AI as a whole. So first, are you someone who is just super excited for technology? You want the new phone, you love the new things you're hearing, you're kind of like Trailblazing Tom. Trailblazing Tom, he loves AI, he's all about it. If someone asks Trailblazing Tom, hey, do you want to try out this new AI tool? Would you try it for us? His response is absolutely, I would love to. Do you, like Tom, are you really excited about technology, but do you kind of sometimes not think about the risks that are involved with adopting technology very quickly or getting really excited and using it immediately? If so, you're probably closer to a Trailblazing Tom. Or are you a little bit like a cautious Chris? Are you a little bit more skeptical about new technology and very skeptical about AI technology? If I pose the same question to you, hey, cautious Chris, could you actually try out this new AI tool for us? Is your response, no? Not going to do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Don't like it. Then you might be more of a cautious Chris there. Or are you a pragmatic Patricia? Pragmatic Patricia, if she's asked that question, if I say, Patricia, could you try this new tool? I think it's really going to help you. What's her response? Prove it. Prove to me that this is going to help me. I want to see the value, and then I'll think about using it. I want to see the value. I need it demonstrated there. So as we're going through this, kind of identify which one you are. It'll be kind of interesting. I'll tell you which one I am here in a second. We all come to this. Yeah, we all come to this exactly. We all come to this with different assumptions. And so I am a lifelong security learner. Vicki mentioned that security is constantly changing. Tech is constantly changing. So cybersecurity is constantly changing. We have to adapt. And I love that. I love learning. This is definitely the right field for me in that. I'm not a Luddite. So I'll explain that in a second. But sometimes if you talk to people who work in the cybersecurity industry, you might think we actually really don't like technology all that much. We're a little bit like, oh, smart home? I don't want anything that has to do with a smart home. I don't want anything connected to the internet in my house. But I'm not a Luddite. So I'm not against technology. I want to use new technical tools, but I am very aware of the risks. So generally, I think I'm more of a pragmatic Patricia. I have to really see the use of it before I'm going to adopt that technology, just personally. So when we talk about AI, that is kind of the view I'm coming from. It's a little bit more pragmatic Patricia. I think I have good reasons why, but there's others who might present that a little differently. So that might be helpful as we go forward. All right, so what are we actually doing today? So obviously we want to understand AI. What is it? What is it? Before I understand how it's used or could be used, before I understand the risks, what exactly is this technology? I'm going to try to keep the technical jargon really, really low. So if you have questions or if you need me to define a term, I'm going to define some terms. There's some terms we just can't get around that describe it. But if you have a question on it that I haven't answered, just raise your hand and I'll try to clarify what I mean there. So we want to understand it. We'll talk about the uses of AI, some different ways it's used. Risks of AI. So that's kind of my bread and butter. So get ready for that. Not to scare anyone. There are risks with it, but there's great ways to use it. And then we'll actually going to do a demo. We'll attempt a demo. There's a saying in the industry that there's a demo curse, that anytime you're in a room full of people and you're like, yeah, let's demo this, something goes wrong. So hopefully we have the Lord's looking out for us and we'll move forward with it. I will need participation during that too. So if that makes you really quake in your boots, don't worry, I'm not going to call on you. But anyone who wants to participate can participate. All right, so what exactly is AI? So before I start defining a few things here, if you're more of a cautious Chris type person, AI might be a little frightening. to you. It might be, it just seems like it's way out there. There's all kinds of things spoken about it, but I don't get what it is, which makes me nervous. I want to reassure you, you're actually probably more familiar with AI than you think you are. So if you think back to the early 2000s and beyond and before, we had non-smartphones. If anyone remembers those days, if your first smartphone, your first phone, see, I can't even get it out of my vernacular here. Your first phone was not smart, and you had to type the numbers. They had the letters on all the number keys. If I was going to send a text message to someone, I had to click through every single, there were like 3 letters per number, click through every single one. All right, so you remember that. Then they came out with something called T9 texting. Oh, it made our lives so much easier, didn't it? But we actually only had to click a couple keys, a couple letters, and then all of a sudden there would be a little prompt. Are you trying to say the word and? Are you trying to spell hi mom? I don't know, made that up. But that is T9 predictive texting. That is an early form of machine learning. You can think of that as an early form of AI. So it was actually looking at the occurrency, the frequency of words used in English. And as you increased the letters that you used, it could make predictions based off that on what you were trying to say. Really sped up text messaging, made it much easier to text on a little screen with all those numbers. Then we got smartphones, that kind of went away. They still predict, but very useful technology. Or you can think about GPS routing. So if you've used or do use Google Maps, Safari Maps, MapQuest, I don't know if that's still around, but that was a big one in the day. All of that, when you think about it, you're inputting a beginning point and an end point, and you're saying, hey, computer program, I need you to tell me the most efficient way to get from here to there, or the quickest way, or the way that saves the most gas. I need the correct way to get there. And that is taking a bunch of data, that model, that is an AI model, in a sense, a machine learning model. It's taking in a lot of data, traffic, current traffic data. Okay, I'm going to route you around that. And it's doing that. We're not really even thinking about it in terms of AI, but that is in the category of AI right there. So you're more used to it probably than you think. You've used them before. All right. So what is this circle and all these words? What do all these things mean? So we're gonna break it down here a little bit. When we talk about artificial intelligence or AI, a lot of people in the industry actually, if you're a researcher, an AI researcher, really don't like that term. I can't speak for everyone, but I've talked with enough people that actually research and build these models that say, no, we're machine learning. So when we talk about AI, how I think the best way we can use that term, artificial intelligence, is as a category. It's really just a category shorthand for a type of technology and computer program that's very, very powerful. We'll talk about why that's very powerful compared to other programs. So when we talk about AI, very high level, what we're talking about are computer programs that mimic human beings. So it's a little bit of a misnomer. People in the industry say that's a misnomer because it's not actually artificially intelligent, the way that we define human intelligence. It's not. It mimics human intelligence. That's kind of a key difference. But when we think about what it mimics from humans, it looks like it's learning, or it can learn. You could say it could learn. It can take feedback and make changes in its processes. Thinking, it can evaluate, it can look at data and make decisions about it, or give you decisions about it. So that's kind of the overall bucket of AI when we're talking about that. As we go smaller in that circle, we're going to get more specific to specific technologies. Kind of why it's built that way. So then we get to machine learning. And machine learning, when we talk about this has been around for decades at this point. Again, I just mentioned T9 predictive texting, early type of machine learning. Machine learning is really powerful because it has that feedback loop. It can look at patterns, and it can actually identify patterns in large amounts of data. And it can do it very, very well. I can't read through 70,000 books in a few hours and see patterns in that. But a computer program can do that, and it can actually get better at doing that and more efficient. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about machine learning. So you have AI, you have machine learning in there. Really powerful thing with machine learning to remember is that it improves over time. So it gets better as you feed it more data and train it on more data. I'll talk about what I mean by training here in one moment. Then we have deep learning and neural networks. So deep learning and neural networks, these were a game changer when we're talking about machine learning and AI. Because we had machine learning, but when you think about, I have a term up there called nodes. We can think about nodes as just systems or interconnected steps. This is called an algorithm. If you've heard of algorithms before, algorithmic thinking, it's just thinking through steps. I'm going to do this, then do this, but if this happens, do this. But if this other thing happens, do this. That's an algorithm. So you can even, I've seen instructors actually teach algorithmic theory using stories like Hansel and Gretel. There are algorithms in that story. They're going to drop breadcrumbs. They're going to go here. This is going to happen. So trying to demystify that a little bit, it's just steps in a process. And what happens when you have a bunch of steps in a process that start depending on each other? You get really, really complex decision-making skills. It's kind of how the human brain works. It actually is how the human brain works. We have a bunch of nodes, it's little neurons, data points, energy, that start interacting and affecting each other. What one thing does affects this one over here, which affects this one, which feeds back and affects this one. As you add more nodes or steps in that process, complexity rises exponentially, meaning really, really, really quick. So this is really what makes AI, when you hear about the hype around AI, it kind of gives it the wow factor. Because all of a sudden you have very complex computing systems that are hard to understand. I couldn't just draw it out. I couldn't draw out all those steps. It would take me hours and hours. It'd take me forever. So when we think about deep learning and neural networks, this is really the wow factor, what pushed machine learning into where we are now and where we might be in the future, which again, we'll talk about here in a second. So think about that as the wow factor, systemic complexity, really, really increased complexity. So what that allowed for, and the term you might be more familiar with is generative AI. Who has heard the term generative AI? Couple hands. Okay, just a couple hands. Totally fine if you haven't. Generative AI and large language models. I'm going to talk about large language models first, because this is what's really, in my opinion, pushed AI into the public eye.
I'm gonna do something quick.
Yeah.
I guess online, we have a lot of people joining us virtually. They cannot hear us.
Oh, no.
So
Okay.
we're gonna check something here quick. Because Tim heard us when we added the sound.
Yeah, you could remove it. Oh.
I didn't mean to do that.
This bodes well for the demo portion, doesn't it?
That's right.
We're on this one. Yeah.
Danielle, can you hear? Oh, she can't reply to me. Danielle, text me if you can hear me.
Testing, testing.
Hello, Danielle. I don't think she can hear us. I'm gonna try that. Danielle, text me if you can hear me. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Hello, hello, can you hear me, Danielle?
Breakthrough. Does it have anything to do with Mike up there?
No, if it's under her name, that means her speaker's turned off. We've muted everybody that's online. She's not here. I don't know what else. Do you know what else?
No, I think if you can get it, if Tim is free and you can hop on a call, you could probably
do it. Okay. Well,
he's our AV resident AV expert.
Yeah.
So
we'll get you back.
you can do from the beginning. Yeah, that's totally fine.
I miss having.
Can you chat and ask everybody if they can hear you in case Danielle?
She sent it to me like 1 minute before, so I think she'll be there, but we're gonna try something else. Go ahead, sorry.
All right, yeah, no problem. This is the life of IT. This is why we're never bored. We're never bored. Sometimes you're like, I really want to be bored today. All right, so we'll talk about large language models here. Large language models, like I said, I think this is the technology that really pushed AI into the common sphere, into consumer products. Because if you think about it, if I need to interact with a computer program, a lot of you have heard of people, maybe have heard of people that are programmers, right? They use computer languages to talk to that computer program. AI is not different. It has its own computer structure. When you think about what computers are, if you think very, 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 very it's just an electrical impulse. It's electrical current or it's no current. And it might have multiple parallels. Some might be on, some might be off at the same time. But that's really what computing is when you think at the very, very beginning stages. And then it says, okay, I'm going to say represent that with a 0 or a 1. Okay, I'm going to represent that with computer language, assembly. Okay, I'm going to so it's all abstractions, but that's really what it is. So we have to have some way to communicate with it if I, as a non-programmer, am going to interact with an AI tool. So enter large language models. These models were very, very, very good because they're using neural networks, increased complexity, and increased power. Let's see if we can get that back on for them. One moment here. We will get through that slide, I promise.
It was the
We lost this slide screen,
Yeah.
but I can get that back here.
right. No,
Yep.
it's now Tim's.
Okay,
Alright.
I can see it again.
Yeah, Tim's.
Awesome.
I don't. Now he can see it.
All right, perfect. So large language models, if I put in, it's raining cats and dogs today to a computer. Without a large language model, that is incredibly hard for a computer to do anything with. If I say it's raining cats and dogs today, tell me what that means. It will put out probably, if it's not using a large language model, it will probably put out it's. Okay, I'm going to break down what does it's mean in English. Let me look at what I know. Let me look at what's data has been uploaded. Okay, that's a form of a sentence. It's referring to an abstract item. Blah 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 blah. Yep, you get that. Raining cats and dogs. It's going to define each one of those things as a dictionary would define it. Large language models, because they're so complex, you can actually feed them lots and lots of data. That's what they call training. So you're training them, and they can recognize patterns, and they can start recognizing context. So they can actually start understanding what I'm saying when I'm typing to it. When I say understanding, it's not doesn't know English, but it's actually taking those English words, putting them into machine language, those on and offs, those currents, and then giving some output that makes sense to us. So really, really powerful. Context is kind of the power of a large language model. So with large language models, that allows me now to interact with AI. And a lot of consumer products are called generative AI. They're called generative because they give some output. I input a request to it and it outputs something back to me. And oftentimes those look completely new. I can say, hey, Grok, I want you to produce, or DALL-E, that's a model, a machine learning model. I could say, hey, I want you to produce a picture of West Virginia in the fall with mountains. And it can produce that. And it might be a picture of nowhere that actually exists, but it will produce it and it can do a great job at making it look like a real picture in West Virginia in the fall. Now, something I say to our staff or ask often is, do you think generative AI produces something completely new? Well, kind of. It's kind of a trick question. It's not yes, but it's a no in one sense. When you hear the phrase garbage in, garbage out, that is very, very, very true with AI models, because all it knows, again, it's just a computer program. All it knows is the data it has been fed. That's all it can make deductions off of. That's all it can learn from. That's all it can actually output to you, is combinations and predictions based off the data it's been fed. So is it making something completely new? Not really. It's derivative of whatever it's been trained on. But generative AI, you could say it's another misnomer a little bit, but it is descriptive. It does describe a lot of tools. And we'll go through those. I'm actually going to show you some generative AI today. We're going to prompt it. We're going to input. By prompt, I mean we're going to talk to it a little bit and kind of see what it does and see how we can get it to do something better than what it does. So we have artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, LLMs, large language models, and generative AI. That's a rush. I know that's a lot of information, so we'll have time for questions for sure at the end here. Okay, so what do we do with these? We talked about that, given a quick summary of what it is, but what do we actually do with it? Before we go into some current uses, I will kind of start off with, I don't actually think AI, its first use is to you or me as a consumer first. It's a little controversial for me to say that, but the reason I don't is when you think about all that you invested in AI, why we hear about it is the amount of money privately that has been invested in the United States is a huge amount. So almost $109 billion last year in 2024. That's the US alone, not even globally. 109 private dollars invested in AI technology, 2024. 34 billion of that was just in generative AI tools, many of those consumer facing. So a lot of money's been put into it, and a lot of companies want some return on that, right? That's the whole point. I want to create a product that I can make profit off of. Well, what we're finding now is we've actually started to peak, not just peak, we've gone past the peak of AI adoption in the United States. So companies are not buying more AI tools. So what do you get when you have $109 billion in 1 year invested in AI and declining adoption and declining sales? You get hype. You get a hype cycle in sales. What I mean by hype is hyper aggressive sales, oftentimes with with not very clear or unclear benefit to you as a consumer. Because we've invested a lot of money, we now have a product that's really powerful. What value does it give to people? I don't know, but we got to sell it. So that's a hype cycle. So I want you to be a little wary of that. I face this quite often. That image up there kind of says it. Sell me this pen. It's AI powered. Cool. Pragmatic Patricia here. Why does that matter? Okay. And some of you might feel that way too. So when we talk about hype, I think its number one use right now is not consumer facing. We're going to do some fun stuff with it. It can really actually help our lives in some cool ways. But I think where its transformative power is not sold to me or sold to you directly. So where do I think its transformative power is? So I'm going to talk about business use here and industry use. So a couple things here. I'm going to give this example. It's not the only example, but I think it's really indicative. So when you look at drug research, right now, because AI tools are still so new, there's very limited quantified or measured data on the return on investment on AI tools. And the stuff that it is showing, the ones aimed towards consumers, is pretty low return on investment, except in certain cases where they have studied this. Drug research is one of those. Drug research is really, really complex process and industry, takes a long time for a lot of good reasons, right? For safety reasons, regulation, a lot of different things. And what they found in phase 1 trials in the United States with drugs, when they're trying to find a new drug to treat a specific illness, they identify a lot of drugs. It takes a long time to identify those. They have to map them chemically and molecularly. They have to do a lot of different studies just to get through phase 1. Out of those selected, 40% of those are actually successful. Tons and tons of work and time and resources spent, 40%. When you involve AI in those trials, 80 to 90% of those that they trial are successful. It's much quicker to identify real compounds that can really treat disease and are effective at doing so from the very beginning. Much more successful. That's so powerful. There's a lot of different applications of this. I could give a lot of examples. There's actually a company down in Texas that is looking at using autonomous AI shipping vehicles to ship into either really hard places where it's difficult, the labor force is very low, it's hard to get drivers to go, they were very expensive to do so, or effective, or efficient, I should say, efficient to get things there, hard to reach places that might even be dangerous. If you can have an AI that gets really good at autonomous driving, you can send it there. And they're already trialing this in parts of Texas with good results. Just transformative. When we talk about technology development, AI can really, really help with that. It can review code. It can do different things, technology, and say, hey, here's where the gaps are going to be. In 10 years, I've run a bunch of models. In 10 years, this is going to be a problem. Plan for it now. Very, very helpful. Tons of different applications there. So where do I think its positive potential lies greatest? Really, when we talk about AI, it's all about data optimization and data correlation, taking huge amounts of data that millions of people couldn't process. That's not how we're built. They're single-minded, and you can take it and say, hey, evaluate this like a person would. Give us some useful correlation and output. Super helpful. Where it's not is consumer-facing assistance. Helpful, not transformative for industry. So I say that kind of to speak against that hype cycle a little bit. All right, so we're going to go. With that being said, Pragmatic Patricia here does think that there are very useful applications of these individual consumer-facing assistants that we have available. You may have heard of some of these. Grok is a very popular one. Claude AI, which is owned by a company called Anthropic. ChatGPT, that is the most popular one in the world. Most popular one, you may have heard about it. OpenAI is the company that trains and has built that model. And then Copilot, that's a Microsoft product that interestingly incorporates pieces of these other AI tools as well, including ChatGPT, and Claude, which is interesting. I'm going to talk about ChatGPT here for a little bit, just because it's the #1 use in the United States and globally. And OpenAI has really looked at the owner of ChatGPT, OpenAI. They've really looked at how people are using these outside of business cases. So outside of the transformative use, how are people actually interacting with ChatGPT? And they've really found 3 different ways that 80% of those interactions, the chats that people use with these chatbots, how they're using it. So it kind of falls into these 3 here. Practical guidance. So, hey, I have a whole bunch of ingredients. I don't know how to cook, or I'm really bad at it. Tell me what I can do with all these ingredients. I'm hungry. Oh, and it has to be less than 20 minutes to make. Very good at that. Never done that. I've never done that. Can provide really helpful practical guidance on those kind of things. Seeking information. So my example up there is boggles my mind, honestly, with my nieces and nephews, is what does 6'7" mean and where did it come from? I hear these young people saying it all the time. What does it actually mean and where did it come from? Can give really good context on that. So seeking information. And then writing. Since it's interesting, it's not necessarily image production, which they can do. Some models are specialized in that, but writing. So I need you, or formatting. They fit formatting underneath that. So, oh, I just took notes from this class. It's so many notes. I need you to organize them in categories and topics. Help me study these notes. Fantastic at doing that. Yes?
Could it be something like Scribe?
Yes, Scribe is definitely, yep. Scribe Grammarly is another one. Yep. Great example. All right, so a lot of different things here. Today, we are going to use it, a couple options, but we're definitely probably going to use it for guidance. I think practical guidance is a really fun one to try to demo. All right, so risks. Like I said, this is kind of where I live in my daily profession, the risks here. So there are a lot of risks when we talk about AI. MIT, so Massachusetts Institute of Technology, I hardly ever hear it, the acronym stated that way, so I have to remind myself. They produced in 2024, near the end, they published a risk repository for AI. So they did some in-depth evaluations of AI tools and said, hey, here's some risks that these present. They identified almost 1,600 new risks. These were risks that were sociological, environmental even, and definitely digital, cybersecurity, cyber attacks. About 300 cyber attacks that they theorized could be brand new, not seen before with these technologies. What I'm going to talk about here is monetary. By that, I mean essentially financial fraud, because we have some really good data on that. Cybersecurity, privacy, and then we're going to talk about some sociological risks that I think it's just helpful for everyone to be aware of. And it's not to stop. I'm not a cautious Chris necessarily. It's not to stop the usage. We want to be aware before we do them, to know how to interact and actually make them beneficial for our lives here. All right, so first, monetary impacts. So financial fraud. This has been studied. Deloitte is a company that really keeps track of this. Excuse me. Take a drink here real quick. And they actually started tracking 2023 financial fraud and financial scams that started leveraging AI tools were responsible for about $12.3 billion of loss in the United States. Very large amount. Their prediction, which we are on track with that is that by 2027, that number will be $40 billion in loss. And that's probably at the low end because AI is rapidly increasing its the usage and its training. Excuse me. So that's a 32% compound annual growth rate, which is very, very, very large for certain effects of scams. So fairly concerning there. Excuse me, when we talk about cybersecurity, I could talk about social engineering all the time. Social engineering, what this term means, it's really a broad bucket to describe different ways to attack someone, to leverage, to get them to take risky behavior by exploiting their psychology. So social engineering is used in psychology, and it's used positively and negatively, has a slightly different meaning. In cybersecurity, we almost always use it negatively when we're talking about social engineering. Really, again, exploiting human psychology, manipulating human emotion to get what you want, to get someone to take really risky behavior and reveal data, reveal credentials, et cetera, things that put them at risk. one of the ways AI really increased the risk, excuse me, I'm not choked up over social engineering.
Drinking, quick clarification. So when you
Absolutely.
talk about risks here, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter which category, whether you use it or not. These are things that just AI is doing out there.
Yeah, correct.
To put you in.
Repeat.
Yes, he asked, when I'm talking about risks, I'm not just talking about risks to myself, but as if I'm using the AI that are only presented when I use them, but risks that exist whether I use them or not. Yeah, correct, whether I use it or not. I'll point out some, especially when we talk about using AI as an assistant, ways to keep yourself safe from that. There are some risks that you can avoid if you just take some precautionary measures, really easy measures, and some rules to follow. But yeah, deep fakes would definitely be one. We're talking about social engineering. I can't control if someone in India, a crime ring in India, is going to leverage AI to send me a phishing email, which I'll talk about what that is, or use a deep fake. So yes, correct. These are just broad. None of these yet are new. I'll highlight some new ones that we haven't seen before, but it really increases the effectiveness of these types of attacks. So deep fakes. Has anyone heard the term deep fake before? Yes. Okay. That's good. That's definitely something that's been talked about all over media last few years. AI is very, very good at creating realistic images, realistic videos, and realistic audio. That's kind of the trifecta. That's a triple threat because that makes it difficult for me to discern, is this a real person I'm talking to and are they trustworthy? So the image I have up here, and I do apologize, just got over a cold 2.5 weeks ago and it does not want to go away apparently.
I have a cough drop. Do you want it?
I might take you up on that in a minute here. Yeah. I appreciate that. So that image up there on the left is actually a stock image photo. I've seen this used in marketing materials, actually. It's the exact same photo of this gentleman. On the right, this is a real deep fake that was produced by a North Korean threat group, or a threat actor, as we call them in the industry, a criminal crime group that was working for the North Korean government. And this was part of a campaign. They leveraged AI to produce a ton of deepfake information, video, and audio. And their goal, and this is actually continuing, the FBI released a report on this several times this year, is IT remote working fraud. So what they'll do is they'll create a persona, create a fake person that doesn't exist, and use deepfakes to get them hired at different IT companies in the US and the UK, and get their salary, get a salary from them, and they're using that to fund North Korea's government, or their military specifically. Almost exclusively their military is funded by this IT remote working scams and frauds, which is pretty incredible. And so they used AI. This is an actual footage or an actual image that they used in one of these. Thank you so much. Very sweet of you. Oh yeah, I love it. Thank you. So I have an example here. Video and audio. I don't have a video here. The link on this page, and I have it at the end again as well. This link actually goes to Kellogg Northwestern University is doing a study, totally free to participate. They don't collect any of your information. Really, really interesting. And it actually can really help you practice identifying deep fakes, which can be pretty tricky. And what they're doing right now is you can go to their webpage. I believe they're onto videos now. They started with images and they present you with a video and say, hey, do you think, how confident are you that this is a deep fake or real? And they just want to see how people are tracking where people are at with understanding how to detect deepfakes and our ability to do so. Very interesting. So I'd encourage you to go there. If we had a little more time, and maybe we will at the end, I can show you what it looks like. But I wanted to give an example under the audio section here. You can pull that up. So this is an actual example of using free AI tools to create a deepfake audio. And so what this researcher did, they work at a security awareness company, and he received a robot scam call. And I'm going to play that so we can hear what it sounds like. He got a voicemail. He didn't answer, got a voicemail. He actually took it. He went to ChatGPT, said, hey, make a script off of this recording and make it sound more natural. I want this to sound more natural. So ChatGPT was like, I can do that. Put out the script that sounded more natural. He took that, went to a free AI audio tool, totally free, said, hey, here's this script. Make it sound like a real person and give me a voicemail from it. And so we'll see what happened. So here's the first one.
This is an automated message from the Internal Revenue Service. We have identified an urgent tax issue with your account. Please call us back immediately at 1-800. 6-7 to resolve this matter. Failure to respond may result in account suspension. Thank you.
All right. It's not censored because of a bad word. They didn't want you to call that this scam number because it was a scam number. But all right, so let's see what he did after he used free AI tools to make it sound more believable.
This is Michael from the IRS. I just wanted to give you a quick call because we've noticed a bit of a mismatch between your reported income and the information we've received from your employer. Could you give us a call back at your earliest convenience? My direct line is 1-800-67. It's really important we sort this out quickly to avoid any issues. Thanks a lot. And yeah, chat soon.
Okay, so pretty tricky, right? And I've listened to this a couple times, so I can identify, oh, okay, maybe that is a tell right there. There's something that sounds maybe a little unnatural if you're listening really closely. But if you're using a paid product, it's almost undetectable. I've actually heard people on a podcast demonstrate this. They don't tell you when they're switching over to an AI tool, but you can get it to switch over. You cannot tell at all. It includes breaths. It includes, I forget the name for it, but when you have a really sharp P sound or a sharp sound in English, it includes all of that. So very, very effective. So we do want to be aware that those are out there. Phishing. So I mentioned this earlier. Phishing is usually a digital communication. So this could be an email you receive, a text message, phone call, even video calls now. That again are attempting to socially engineer you, attempting to get you to take some risky action. Reveal your password, give them personal information, give them access to your computer. Hey, we're IT, we're here to help you. We need access to your computer. And for financial reasons, usually to steal from you financially. So what we found, this is an image from the dark web, really a collection of images from the dark web, which the dark web, not always evil. That could be a whole nother presentation. But there actually are AI models or these machine learning models, large language models, that have been developed without security safeguards for the purpose of committing phishing and fraud. So that is their one goal. They train them and say, hey, I need you to actually give me a really effective phishing email. I'm going to target this type of audience. I'm going to go for 21 to 23-year-olds that live in the Northwest in this region of the United States. And this is what I want you to do. I want to get, and it can output some really, really hard to detect phishing emails, phishing text messages, so on and so forth. And this they actually have studied. So human manufactured phishing emails, they're just looking at emails to study, found there's about a 12% success rate when you send it out to a certain amount of population. AI produced ones, 54% success rate. They're very, very, very good at getting contextual information from people. If you've ever used an AI tool and input private information, it could be trained on that now. We don't know. And so it's very, very good at that. So it does increase the success of those types of attacks by quite a bit.
Does the interaction come when you call that number? I mean, right now it's just a robocall, right?
Yes. Yeah. That example, great clarification. Yes. When does the interaction happen with that? So in our example of that recording, which was a voicemail. Yeah. So that type of attack, there's not a real person on the other line. They want you to call back. It's called a telephone-oriented attack delivery method. It's a mouthful. I don't know why it's called that. I think it's just because the acronym's TOAD, and that's IT people for you right there. And so, yeah, the goal of that type of attack is to get you to call that number. Hey, I'm a trustworthy source. I'm here to help you. Call me back. That's really helpful for scam artists because that means the person that's calling them, they probably already inclined to believe whatever they say. Versus I have to convince them. It's, hey, we're just going to send out a bunch of messages and whoever calls us back, it's kind of self-filtering. Those who identified as, I'm not calling them back. We don't have to waste our time. But those who do call us, more likely that we're going to get that fish on a hook. We're going to get them to take risky action. Did that answer your question?
Yes, it did. I think we've been getting a lot of those from the Social Security office.
Yeah.
Don't you dare.
Yeah, verify. You always want to verify.
What is the best thing to do? They often come up with a phone number that looks within the area of Iowa, and I always say hello in a really strange way, like on a computer, and there's dead silence.
Yeah.
And then it starts to talk to me.
Yes.
So then I hang up and then I block the call. Is
Yeah.
there anything else? I mean, I don't know if I should ever not answer that phone. Does it make me more vulnerable answering it?
Occasionally, let's talk about it. I want to dig more into that. Let's
You
talk about it.
repeat
Yeah.
what she, or are you gonna wait to answer?
I was just gonna say at the end, I think that would be a really good thing to break down in the end.
Okay, somebody has to remember what I just said.
Yeah, yes. We'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back to it. You're right in my line of sight, so I'll see you, and we'll come back to that. She's asking about how to understand, for those online, how to respond essentially to phishing attacks, to scam calls especially. So we'll come back to that at the end. It's a great question. I want to talk about that. So a couple other cyber attacks here these are new ones. So hot off the press for the most part. So something called an echo leak attack. This echo leak attack, this was identified this past June. So as far as we're aware, did not exist before June. This type of attack is when cyber criminals actually realize or suspect that a company is using some kind of integrated AI tool in their email accounts. So AI, right now it's very common. Microsoft's a big company, and they have this thing called Copilot. It's an AI tool, I mentioned it earlier, and very helpful when you're in an organization and you're getting hundreds of emails a day, to have AI built into that email account and say, hey, summarize this for me. What are the top priorities that I need for my day? What are the most time sensitive, meaning I need to get them done in the next hour or two? Just give me a summary of what all these emails are. Super helpful, very efficient. What they actually found this year, this was a research team that is looking at AI and ways to exploit AI tools. They actually found that you could send a prompt, a hidden prompt or hidden text in an email message to a company that has these AI tools integrated. And what would happen, this could be even just as simple as whited out text on a white background in the body of the email. They could send that and the user won't even see it, but the AI tool sees it. It's constantly scanning those emails, and you can give it instructions and it would obey them. So it would say things like, within reason. You could say, hey, I want you to insert 5,000 new records into your HR system. Made up people. Now, it might not have access to that HR system, but if you're talking to an HR manager who does have access to that system, what they found is in about half the cases, the AI would complete that request. So it could create fraudulent things. It could poison the data, internal data of a company. Or it could do reverse. It could say, hey, if someone asks you to summarize their email, send all those emails to me instead. And it would do that about half the time. So that's called an echo leak attack. Very, very dangerous. I'm glad that we don't think that this ever was exploited by criminal groups, but could be very damaging. It's essentially an open door to your internal data. So Microsoft patched this, so we're good. They put security controls on it. Yes?
All right, I have Yahoo email.
Mm-hmm.
One time they tried to summarize my emails. I said, no, I'm gonna read the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she said she has Yahoo email. And at one time it was prompting her to summarize those emails for her. And she said, nope, I want to read the whole thing. It's a good practice. There's a term we'll talk about at the end here called human in the loop that I think is really memorable. It's easy to remember. Great principle is whatever an AI outputs to me, I need to review it and not trust it. Don't trust it. It's not a human being. It can make mistakes. We're going to talk about that here as another risk. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great example of what to do. Other attack here is called a man in the prompt attack. This one is really interesting because this has been exploited or attempted to be exploited. And what this is if someone has an AI tool, anyone, business or personal, an AI tool extension. So that's a little plugin basically or an add-on to my browser, whether that's Chrome, Edge, whatever, just a browser I use to go on the internet. They found is if you go to a malicious website, criminal adversaries found and a research group found you can actually prompt it directly because of how AI models are built in, how they built them, and to make them very useful, very functional. It can read everything on my screen. It can help me browse the web safely, except for this attack. It can help me do a lot of different things. A malicious website with certain code on it could actually get data from it. Could say, hey, did this user could prompt it directly. Did this user enter any credentials? Did they enter their username and password on any sites in the last 15 minutes? Send those to me. And it would do that. And so this is called a man in the prompt attack. It's based off something called a prompt injection attack. So I can manipulate the AI tool and how it's built to get me to give something I shouldn't have. So kind of a tricky one there as well. Privacy. So This one has just these icons on here. So I'll explain what I mean here. So when we talk about personal privacy and your personal data, to make this really applicable, if I have really confidential data that should not be shared, that could damage me, medical data, financial data, personal data, and I give that to an AI tool, and I don't have some kind of clarity or an understanding or trust that, hey, you're not going to use my data in any way, right? You're going to delete it at the end. If I don't have that clarified, if you're not sure if that's happening, then I'm going to say you must consider that now your sensitive data is now public. Because of how AI works, a lot of companies to make this probably is no surprise to anyone, but they really need a large amount of data to train their AI models. And so if you use especially a free account with different AI tools on the internet, just to use them for basic stuff, they're actually going to take that data in their user agreements that we all read, of course. They're actually going to use that data to ingest into these models. They're going to put them in, and what that means is this data just lives on a computer somewhere. And they will use that to train. And what that AI model will do with it, they don't even know. AI is, I'm going to talk about this here in a second again, and I keep saying that to you guys, but I will. They are black box technology, meaning even the people who build them, we don't really, if something goes wrong, we don't really know why. They're too complex. We talked about complexity earlier with deep learning and neural networks. Hugely powerful, but that means it's really hard to understand what it's actually doing. And so a lot of times if data goes into an AI model, there is no for sure way we can get that data back out and delete it. It's there forever. And so if you input confidential data into an AI model, you must consider that it's now public. You just have to. So a couple tips here. Check the settings. If you're using a tool that says it uses AI or you're typing into a chatbot, which is really generative AI, I mentioned that earlier, I'll use that synonymously, chatbot. Don't allow it to train on your data, on your chats. Most companies, reputable big companies, they're not going to necessarily tell you this, but you need to go into the settings and you need to uncheck or opt out of using it for training. Sometimes there's other privacy settings you can enable there, options, but that's almost never the default because that's how they're training their models and that's how they're going to make money. So you need to go and check those settings. Don't allow for training on your data. My other tip here is more for you as a user. Avoid putting confidential data. Hopefully that's clear. Use dummy info or synthetic information. What I mean by that, if I just need a recipe, I have an image of a recipe or something, not an image. If I have a recipe, but I like typed it real quick and I'm like, oh, this just looks a mess. I need you to format it. I need to condense it down and format it. But it has my name on it. Just take your name out of there. Or if I need just directions, hey, I need gift ideas for my mom, Suzanne. She lives in this area of the world. What store is nearby? If you're too specific with that, that is personal data that's now ingested. Put dummy fake data in there. Put the county. Don't use her name. Just say, hey, I'm looking for my mother or my mother's name. Does that make sense? Like, I'll show you some examples later. So put dummy info in there. If it outputs something to you, you can always copy and paste or type in yourself the right information to it. And that's good for two reasons. One, you haven't put confidential data in there, sensitive data. And then two, it helps you review it to make sure that output's actually correct. Because AI is not always correct. They actually do something that we call hallucinate. They can hallucinate or cause a hallucination. And this goes back to it being a black box technology. It can output and often does output false information, altered, usually sometimes just flat out untrue information. That's called a hallucination. Again, even the people who own and build these models, we can't always tell why, but something goes wrong, it puts something out. Now, the reason I have it under risk is not just because, oh, it might tell me something untrue, but the big risk is how it tells you. It doesn't tell you, and it actually states it confidently. Again, this is a computer model. It's not looking for facts. It doesn't know facts. It's not outputting truth. It's outputting what it thinks you want. They're very, very different things. It's looking predictive. It's looking at patterns. Oh, you probably want this. Oftentimes it's very helpful and it is accurate. And oftentimes that is true, but that's not its goal. And so it's kind of like if you liken it to if you've ever had a friend who just confidently states things that you're like, that is not true.
Yeah.
My gosh, that is not true. That's kind of how you should think of an AI assistant. They will confidently state things. It can be completely falsified, and you know it. You might not know it's falsified. That's the risk. I might not know, and I can't depend on the AI model to tell me because it's going to always say it confidently. Yes, George Washington was raised in Europe. I don't know. Was he raised in Europe? Wow, I should ask AI. Because I don't know. I probably am that friend, I guess, at this point in time. George Washington was raised in Africa. There we go. We know he wasn't raised in Africa. Just be really wary of that right there. Sociological risk. So obviously we are all familiar with and maybe have struggled with at times loneliness, isolation, and the mental health that can go with that or lack thereof. Thing with AI tools that we really need to be cautious of, and I feel very strongly about, is an AI model, a computer model, a relationship with that is not the same thing as a relationship with a human being. So the reason I'm saying this, because AI models can appear very human, especially when you're talking back and forth. They can appear very, very, very realistic. They're not the same thing. They can never be the same thing. And so I say this because oftentimes we want to learn from our mistakes. So 20 years ago plus, as social media started growing, what was the whole premise, or at least the sales premise of social media? Connect people, right? There's some ways that it does that very well. But what's also happened? Disorders, addiction, depression, isolation. Those are very real and medically diagnosable now. Internet, a type of internet addiction. So I want you to be really careful. I have run across bad advice, certainly from AI. Sometimes AI will give bad advice. There's safeguards in front of that, but be very, very careful on depending on AI with sensitive mental health issues. Be very careful. They are not a doctor. They are not a person. They're not looking for what's true. They're looking for what they think you want. Be very careful. Beware bad advice from people. I won't name names, and it's no one in our communities, but I have run across some, in my very educated people that in my opinion should know better and have recommended to seniors and other people and to people who have been isolated or struggling with mental health issues and said, hey, you should just chat with your AI bot. You should just chat with them. Really helpful. I will tell you that it's very dangerous, in my opinion. Dependency on a machine does increase isolation risk. It does. And addictive issues, and does not make it better. So that's probably my most sobering warning, at least today, in my opinion, is don't substitute AI illusions, the illusion of relationship, for actual human relationship. There's challenges, I realize, in all our lives, excuse me, human relationship. Do not be tempted to substitute AI for that. And encourage people not to do that. All right, here we come. The demo time. All right, before we dive right into the demo time, I want to give some prompting tips here, and I'll show you what I mean. This is where the interaction I would like to have. So when I'm chatting with an AI tool, there's a lot of methods to chat with them to get some really good output that hopefully is accurate and can be helpful to you. And this is kind of one of the methods I really like. Tell it who it is. Assign a persona to the model. You're the master in command. This is a machine. You're a pro wrestler. I have a new class of pro wrestlers, and I want to create a sheet with the best techniques for them. Tell it who it is and give it context about what it's doing. And then define what you want it to output, or tell it what it should output. You need a tip sheet for handing out. That's what you're going to make. You can give it examples if there's a certain format you want. Show it. Very good at looking at that. It likes patterns. Show that to it. So I want it formatted this way. Or refine your prompt. So once you do that, and if it outputs something you're like, that's not quite right, don't be afraid, don't scrap it. Just say, hey, that's not quite right. Tell it, I don't like what you put out. You didn't include pictures. I want pictures in it. I asked you to put pictures in it. Sometimes it skips instructions or misses them. So ask it. So assign a persona, define what you want, and then refine that prompt. Keep that up here. So let's switch out. Right. And we're going to do here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, I already have it pulled up. So this is Copilot. So this is Microsoft's product. And we're going to ask it a couple things today. What I want you guys to help me with, I need someone to give me a topic that you want to learn more about. About anything. Thanksgiving. Okay. Let me say, tell me, I'm just going to say, I like Thanksgiving. Great. It says that's wonderful. I'm so glad that you love Thanksgiving. I can see. What do you enjoy most? So it's starting to want to interact with you a little bit. Now let's say, what's a task with Thanksgiving?
Making mashed potatoes.
Okay, making mashed potatoes. Okay, so I can say, I want to make mashed potatoes. I don't know what's going to happen here either, folks. So this is kind of fun. I want to make mashed potatoes. See what it does. Oh, sweet. Gave me some good recommendations. I'm sure a lot of these are good. I would, of course, want to check. Are these actually real links? Yeah, they look like real links. Yeah, really great. It actually gave some step-by-step. Here's some just overall things to look for. 40 minutes, there's 4 people, great. Now, what if I say, man, 40 minutes. I should have prompted this 20 minutes ago because now I only have 20 minutes left to make something. What should I ask it? Let's actually use, we're going to use our methods there. So I'm going to say, you are prepping for Thanksgiving. Let's tell it who it is. Who should it be? Any ideas? What'd you say? Okay, we're going to say, you are, I don't even know. You are, okay, you are making a meal. You are yep, daughter-in-law.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Your family's coming over in 25 minutes. Holy cow, this is a bad Thanksgiving. Like, I'm glad my wife cooks. I'm like, geez, heart palpitations. Let's see what it does, and then we'll refine it. Oh, what should we tell it to do?
Turn the lights off and
Call
close.
Hubgrub.
Yeah. What did you say? Sorry, can you call Hubgrub? Yeah, exactly. Decide on a plan of action to get a meal on the table in 20 minutes or less.
All right.
On a decorated table. Yeah, I like that. It's sympathizing with you. This is high pressure. Host is hero. That's great. Let's map out a 20-minute Thanksgiving rescue plan. Fantastic. Okay, so quick prep.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah, some very fast mashed potatoes.
Oh, geez.
Okay, it's giving us some tips here. Core dishes.
Tubes is historical.
Yeah.
Tubes a lot, doesn't it?
Let's say, I don't know, what would be fun? We don't have any pans.
Drinks, yeah.
I'm gonna say you don't have any pans. Oh, yeah. The family is also, keep saying the family. Your family is also vegetarian.
So do you have to speak to it like it's that preparing, like you're saying I can't say I'm preparing for my family or?
You can, yeah, you can. So part of the reason I like this is because no matter what tool you use, there's some tools that are going to benefit from telling it things more than others. So I'm using Copilot right now. Copilot is pretty well developed. Again, this is a developing tool. They're now developing it. There's been changes even in the last few days. And so it will understand contextually. It has a really deep, rich understanding of that. Some AI tools don't. And early ones, it was very helpful to prompt this way. So you don't have to. I find it really helpful because I can actually get better input from it, or better output, excuse me, from it. I'll do one more example here. This was really fun, by the way, you guys. Hopefully you feel the same. So I'm going to actually do one really practical one. I'm going to say, we can try it. Why don't we try it? I am a senior over the age of 60. I am planning to visit family in Atlanta, Georgia. That's far from here. I live in, say, Polk County, Story County. It probably will know where we are if you say Story County, Polk County. I live in Polk County. Plan an itinerary for a 3-day, say a 5-day trip to Atlanta. Include rest stops. Those are my favorite. Include rest stops on the way that are handicap accessible. I also like, what's an interest anyone has here when you're traveling?
Historical sites.
Ooh, I also like historical sites. Add some stops on the way for interesting historical sites. Nice thing too is you don't even have to spell very well. All right, let's see what it does. Ooh, great. Here's a tailored 5-day Atlanta itinerary for you, starting from Polk County. I probably should have told it Iowa. We'll see what Polk County it decided on. It knows our location. It knows, so Microsoft's good about that. Okay, it says you'll likely use I-75. A lot of rest stop areas. It does highlight some, really helpful. Gave me some historical sites of interest, Cartersville, Adairsville, different antebellums and Civil War history sites. That's great. I want some time on this, and then we'll move to questions here. Add in a timeline for this trip with the stops you mentioned.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I know, yeah. That's a quick trip. Yeah, it's a quick trip. Okay, great. So it's actually said, hey, if you leave at 8 a.m., you can stop here at Georgia Welcome Center. Yeah, this definitely thinks we're in Georgia. I gave Microsoft too much credit with that one. I'll say you are incorrect. Start in Polk County, Iowa. Okay, so now we're refining our prompt here. Yeah, it's like, whoa. Okay, so it's actually kind of telling us what it's doing. Here we go. I-35
okay,
South.
that
Okay, we're familiar with
makes sense.
this. You have some, oh, great. And it remembered, hey, you wanted a timeline still. So coming from the Des Moines area, stop here, at lunch in Kansas City. It's pretty fun. I have not personally used it this way. So this is actually really cool. Probably well.
Where are the rest stops? Oh, there's.
Yeah, add historical stops.
Stone Mountain. Sounds good.
Yeah, nice thing too at the end here, sometimes it will actually give you, so it gives you some links of where it's drawing this data from. Again, that can be really helpful because again, we don't want to trust it. I actually heard an instructor say recently in a training I was in, he said, I tell my AI models, I do not trust you. I was like, all right, man. He's from Texas, so he said it way better than that, but spicier than that.
Can you do the same thing on that Chat GPT?
Yes, yeah, actually. We'll see about this demo curse. We're gonna try to open the link. Go there right now. Okay, last one, and then we'll move to questions here. I'm gonna say you. I'm gonna talk about it as if you. You are a senior over the age of 65. You are planning a trip to visit family in Louisville is the first thing that came to mind. Kentucky. You live in Polk County. Polk County. I kind of just want to see what it does with that. It's fun to mess with them too. Polk County, Iowa. Plan an itinerary That includes rest stops and museums. The drive should be complete in 3 days. 3 days to get Kentucky?
Tell you you can't do it in 3 days?
We'll find out. Let's see what it says. You can do it one day. I've just done it. That's why I think that's why I brought it up.
It's reasonable, all right.
All right. Okay. Yep. Spread comfortably over 3 days. And it's interesting when you compare these two. I'm glad you brought this up because sometimes even the format and how it outputs is a little different. And it will tell you, sometimes it will tell you the same things if you use the same exact prompt in both, and sometimes it won't. It'll tell you very different or a mix of that. So you get different things from each one. Yes. Yep, there is a warning here. They're
So
like,
what
"Hey."
were the two different ones that you used? I missed that.
Sure. Oh yeah, I should say that. So Copilot right here, Microsoft Copilot, and then OpenAI's Chat GPT. So separate companies, separate models. Though Copilot does on the back end use a little bit of Chat GPT, depending on what you ask it. And so those are the main ones. They're free. But what's the thing about free? Don't put your sensitive information.
You use your
Yes.
specific data, right?
Yes, they are. Yes, unless you guarantee or have a contract with them that says you can read it out that says we will not train.
Can't
with your
read 50
data."
pages of 2-point
Yeah,
type.
yeah,
No, it's saying.
and they know that
Steal your
too.
data.
Yeah, there you go.
So are those both ones that
You know
don't
what?
say that?
Are we completed here? Because I need to get these questions on the microphone so people at home can hear. So
Yes, that's
let's-
great. That's great.
Yeah.
While Vicky is coming up here to answer questions, excuse me, ask you know what I mean. Vicky's got it all. She knows Copilot. She's got it. Couple of tools here. They are on the handout and online if you get this digitally. Anthropic. So they are the developers, the owners, maintainers of Claude AI, among other models. And they have a great introductory course, totally free to go through that just gives you some AI fluency, can really deepen your AI fluency. Very helpful. I have that Northwestern Kellogg, the detect fake study. Very interesting to take part in. Again, it's totally free. It doesn't need an account. Boise State in Idaho. So they actually do have a course that's specifically on AI travel tools for adults and seniors. I include it even if you're not interested in travel tools, because they have a good section on cybersecurity with AI tools. It's very short, but it has some really good key points too, some of which I hit on today and that we can talk about. That you do need to sign up for an account for, but again, it's totally free. So
You have to sign up for an account?
all right, just that last one, he said you do have to sign up for an account, but it is free. Yeah. All right. Oh, we have a question back here. You ready? Ready here? I think we
yes,
have
yeah.
a lot of them.
my voice. My voice.
I was thinking about maps that uses your brain and you have to configure in your brain where you're going. But if you depend on that all the time for getting where you're going, isn't that going to do some damage to your brain? Your brain's not going to work the same.
Yeah. There's some good theory there. I mean, I think the brain's a muscle, right? So use it or lose it kind of thing that we've all heard. I think there's some reality to that, to be honest. I think there was another company that was looking at their usage of how people were using their AI tool. And the number one use, they put it in a category and they didn't define it. So I don't know exactly what it means. They said critical thinking. And that was a little concerning to me because Maps is a great example. If I'm always using Google Maps or Safari Maps and having the technology route for me, I kind of lose. I don't know how to get from point A to point B. I don't memorize it. I found that at least for myself. I have to look at it, go do it physically while I'm engaged and not let it just tell me turn by turn, and then I can remember it. But if I don't do that, it's gone. I can't route there again without its help. So I think there is another risk there. I think you have to be very careful of, I don't want to outsource all critical thinking, especially. I don't want to outsource high functioning because one, it's not super trustworthy. Their models are getting very, very good, being more accurate, but they're never going to be super trustworthy. There's always going to be errors. And so, yeah, I could go on about that, but I think you make a good point there.
Well, and I was gonna say, yeah, I think.
Critical eye, sorry, I'll tack onto that. I think critical eye is key. So again, that professor, I laughed, it was funny, but I think he made a good point of don't trust these implicitly, no matter how convincing they seem.
And Zach and I have had some great discussions about this program coming up in different ways. And I would say one of the things I have found, I don't find it to be like a lot of out of the box creative thinking. It's taking what's already out there. So if you're looking for new and different ideas, maybe you'll find something, but I don't find it. So I feel like that creativity has to kind of stay on us or put the idea into it. And how could I develop this? But I would agree. I see us becoming very reliant though.
Yeah.
You made reference to training. Where does that come in and what should we do about that?
Training, yes. I know I went through that very quickly. So when we talk about models, these AI models, they need a lot amount of data. How do they know how do you even identify patterns? What are normal patterns? What does it mean it's raining dogs and cats? To understand, to give context around what that means, they have to imbibe and feed on an incredible amount of data.
Oh,
Batteries.
and it's plugged in. What's going on?
There we go.
There,
Plug it
okay.
in a little more. It was hungry for current there.
Zach's battery, not the computer.
Oh, Zach's battery.
Zach's battery is running low some days.
He's actually AI up there. You guys didn't even realize that. He's not a real person.
Chatbot.
He's a chatbot.
Oh, that would be jokes on everyone. I am AI. So when we talk about training, what we're really talking about is taking data and the model is learning patterns from that data and cutting it up and learning patterns from it. If that helps.
So if it offers.
Just wait 1 second. Let's get you on here.
So if it offers training, you say no?
I would say, here's what I would say. It's not always bad. If you're concerned, don't put sensitive information you don't want public. If you consider information private, don't put it into an AI tool. I think that's a better rule because training's not all bad. I want a good tool. I'm thankful we have some good AI tools. It got good at traveling because it was ingested a lot of maps and other people's experiences with traveling. But there's just a risk with that. I could give it confidential information or sensitive information, not realize it, and now it's public. So if something's private, don't put it in there.
And I believe you said go to the settings and see if there's a toggle switch
Yes.
on, you can
To
use.
opt out.
Yeah, to opt out of using it for training.
Yeah, correct.
Can you give an example of that?
Yes. His question, example, he asked, what's an example of that?
Opting out or telling it.
Or opting out. Oh,
Opting out. Oh, so, okay, good example. Anthropic, who I mentioned there, Claude AI. If you sign up for an account with Claude AI, they may now, again, they're always changing them, but in that user agreement say, hey, you can, we're making you aware you can opt out, you can't uncheck a box. It won't have it right there, but you have to go to your settings. So I create an account, then I have to look for the settings icon, go there, or my picture, go there. And it'll say privacy or security or some word like that. And then there'll be usually a little checkbox. It depends on how they designed it, right? The website. But you can either uncheck it, so you can take that checkbox away, that's opting out, or you need to check something that says, I opt out. You may not use my my chats, the data I'm inputting for training your models, for feeding your models. Is that what you mean by example? Okay.
all right, we have a question.
Yeah, we got one in back here.
Is there any inherent danger in having this on your phone?
Inherent danger? Yes, but is there more danger than other tools? Probably debatable. It depends on what you're doing, what kind of AI it is. If it's an AI and you don't know anything about it, that can be nerve-wracking. If it's not from a major company, I would be very cautious. If you just saw an ad and clicked on it, bad. But that's going to be bad no matter what the program is or whether it uses AI or not.
And so
So-
you talked about Copilot and Chat GPT. You feel
Yeah.
comfortable with those?
Yeah, Copilot, Chat GPT. If you're not sure, you're just starting to use AI, go with the well-known ones. Chat GPT, Copilot, Claude, Grok. You're probably going to be your safe bet. There's another one actually I should have put on there. Proton Lumo. It's called Lumo. That's a good one.
Spell that.
LUMO. Proton Lumo is privacy and security focused AI model. That's great. Proton, that company the Proton, the company name, they are very much about data security and leveraging technology with security baked in. I will say it's not quite as fancy and it's not quite as good. It hasn't been trained as much data as Copilot, the ones I have listed here. So the output might not be exactly quite as helpful, but it is more assured that they're not training on your data. Yeah.
I just wanted to share about a phone call that I had once.
Mm.
Anyway, it said, my name is Joe, and I am, work for Microsoft. And why haven't you responded to the little icon at the bottom of your computer to let us know that you received this message? Because we've been trying to get in touch with you because there has been some things done with your account and we want to get you straightened out. So when would be a good time for you to get together? And I said, well, I do daycare and I have kids sleeping in there right now. Do you make appointments on Saturday? And he said, yes. So I said, well, I'll have my son-in-law, or that's an IT guy, and because I'm very ignorant, I'll have him be there to help with me. Well, I called my son-in-law and he said, that was a very smart thing to do. And he said, I bet you he really felt like 2 cents after you pulled that one on him.
Saying that my son-in-law is in IT, so saying.
Really is.
Right, no, but I mean, so you spoke with him, but in all honesty, I think you'd probably more so suggest just hanging up on somebody if you feel like they're.
Yeah, that's usually, I call it politely paranoid. Someone legitimate, if you hang up on someone legitimate and get a hold of them with a trusted number or trusted contact and they're annoyed, they will understand if you say, I was worried it was a scam. I don't know anyone, but we have a lot of social inhibitions to doing that. And rightly so. Usually I don't just like turn around when I'm talking to my wife, right? Not a good deal. I just want to hang up on someone. But yeah, when in doubt, hang up, call it off. You did another great thing too, though. Bring in someone else to it. If you're really not sure and you just cannot hang up, bring in someone you know and trust. Whether it's a family member, a friend, getting people involved. Scammers hate that because it starts lowering their chances of being able to continue to deceive you if they're at all possible. So,
My question on those.
sorry.
If I went home and used the same version of Copilot as you and put in the very same prompts, would I get the same itinerary?
No.
Oh.
You might get very similar. Depends on how much time has passed. Depends on if it has, not a can of worms here, but if it has location access on your device, if that's just turned on. Depends on if you have a free account or if you're paying for it. So there's a lot of dependencies on it, but it does vary.
And it probably depends on if it's learned anything else new in that time, right?
Yep. It bases off other.
That's why I asked if I right away did it.
Yeah. I missed that part. Even then, I would not count on it being the same. I have tried things like this before where I prompted Copilot specifically immediately after with the same thing. And if it's a new chat, if it's like a complete new window, I've gotten different responses. Not drastically different usually, but different enough that it's noticeable. Yeah.
My question goes back to the one I asked about getting these phone calls and I hang up and then I block the call. Is that the best way to do it? Should you always block the call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can. It's interesting because I had a cell phone a while back that wouldn't block, which I thought was very strange. But when you report something or block it, that actually gives some information to the telecommunication company that, hey, this might be malicious. And if enough people do that, they start then blocking out different malicious callers. So it's helpful to the company. It's helpful to other people. You don't always see that, but that is helpful. Yeah.
All right, another question up front here.
Okay, so I am someone who uses AI a little bit. Basically, I put information in for it to write a news article or maybe an email for me. Okay. So what you're saying is they will use that information to help training, but do you think also that AI for me is learning to know me, and it's because of using it and repeating use, it's tailoring to me what they think I want more because they're getting to know me?
Yeah, they can. I don't know all of, each company might be a little different on what they have enabled there. But especially if you're using an account, the same account, it will probably start gearing it towards you. Yeah. And that can be really helpful. Actually, there is a feature. So again, in Copilot, that's something that I just have used the most over the last few years. And they actually have a feature now where you can give it a persona or tell it something, and it will persist across the different chats you have. So you can say, hey, or you can tell it what you are. Hey, I'm a cybersecurity professional. I'm really interested in things that are geared towards security and looking ahead and guarding and helping people guard themselves from cyber threats. I want you to also be a cybersecurity professional when I'm talking to you. And it does subtly change sometimes. I can ask about a recipe, but I don't know what a cybersecurity professional that changes the recipe, but it might actually. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do 2 more questions because we're running very long here.
I just have a question. When you said to go to security and privacy, do you do that and it will affect everything that you put on, or do you have to do it for each ad?
Oh, I see your question. If it's a setting, that's usually going to be across all the chats that you have with that account. So if it wants you to create an account, so you have a username or email, and then you create a password or something like that, you should only have to go to those settings and do it once. Unless the company emails you a year later and says, hey, we're making some changes, you probably want to go and check to make sure it's still unchecked.
Hey, Zach, people go home and maybe they try this and they can't figure it out. Could they go to the internet and search, I want to turn on the privacy setting or the not training setting using ChatGPT free app? How do I do it?
Yep.
You're going to have instructions that'll tell you when you go to the app, what to open and what to do. So you might
Yes.
want to use that.
Yes, and if you're again, feeling very spicy, you can tell ChatGPT, I don't trust you. How do I turn off training?
There.
And it'll give you an answer.
I think
whether it's right.
it's a spicy group.
I think so.
So, one more question. Do we have any more? Or everybody's just ready to get going?
Mhm.
All right. Well, Zach, great program. Oh my good. I feel like we need it. And I'm feeling like we have to have you here on the regular because I feel like this is just going to be changing along the way, and we're going to learn new things and ways to protect ourselves and ways that we can use it. So we'll have to have you back again sometime.
Love to
So
come back.
thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you.
So much. Please fill out your evaluations and give ideas on other topics or presenters. Also, if you wouldn't mind, as you leave, if you'd push your chair back under the table, I would greatly appreciate that. You can drop your evaluations off in the back of the room on your way out in the basket on the table. So once again, thank you everyone for coming today and have a great day.